Hi, Crossroads. This is Pastor Denise, and I just wanted to share a little bit with you about the first week of Advent. I'm not sure when that started, so I'll start again. This is Pastor Denise, and I just want to share a little bit with you about the first week of Advent. Advent started this past Sunday, and we started a new sermon series at the church. So Pastor Dan is walking us through the hearts of Christmas during this season of Advent. I wrote up a little booklet that we have available on our website, crossroadschurch.ca, if you want to kind of walk through the Advent season with us. So one thing that I wanted to do, this is just going to be a short little video, and I'm just going to chat a little bit about the season of Advent in general with you. So Advent, if you kind of follow the church calendar, there's churches for centuries who have followed kind of a calendar to help us learn about different events during the life of Jesus and different events that happen in the Bible. And Advent is actually the very first event on the Christian calendar. So we're actually at the start of the year right now, according to the Christian calendar. And Advent is a word that means coming or arrival in Latin. And so during the season of Advent, we're looking forward to the coming of Jesus. And what that means is actually twofold, because we're looking forward, obviously, to Christmas, when we get to celebrate that Jesus came and was born as a baby in Bethlehem. But we also, and really one of the main focuses of Advent, is to think about and prepare ourselves for the second arrival of Jesus, when Jesus returns one day and when he promises to make all things new. So that's really what we're looking forward to in Advent and what we're kind of preparing our hearts for. And so as we think about Advent, especially the first week of Advent, really what we kind of tend to focus on is the idea that Advent starts in the darkness. And Pastor Dan kind of talked about that this week when we talked about having broken hearts. This first week of Advent, we really kind of take an inventory of our lives and of the world around us, and we recognize that things are dark. Things are in need of something or someone to come and save us. So when you look at the scripture readings for that first week of Advent, they're often kind of sad, and they're often calling out to God and asking him to show up, asking him to come and to make things right, because everything around us is not as it's supposed to be. So that's what we look for in that first week of Advent. Like I said, I wrote a little booklet for the Advent season for this year, and you can go to our website right on the main page, crossroadschurch.ca. If you click on that Advent experience, it'll take you to a page where you can download the booklet. And we have kind of a little devotional for each week, and then some scripture to read for each of the weeks of Advent. So I would encourage you to do that this week. Check out that first week and read those scriptures. And as you're doing that, you really can think of different ways that you can recognize the darkness around us. So for example, one of the activity ideas in there is to pay attention to the news this week. So as you're reading your newspaper or going on to your favorite news sites online, notice what's going on in the world. So when we think of, I feel like this year, especially with everything going on in 2020, it's quite obvious that there's darkness all around. We can look at the world and look at COVID all over the world, look at wars and famine and oppression happening around the world. We can look at our own country, at a sickness around us, joblessness, homelessness, all of these things going on. We can look at our own friends and family and people who are suffering loss, cancer, sickness, all the different things going on. And then ultimately what we do is take an inventory of our own lives, and we look at ourselves and we see the darkness of sin in our own lives, and we know what that looks like for each of us. But we recognize that really we are a hopeless people without Jesus, someone to come and rescue us from sin and from death. And so that's what we call out for in that first week. We're looking for hope. We're looking for someone who is going to step in and fix what is broken, and mend those broken hearts that we have. That's what we look for in that first week of Advent. So you can look at the booklet and see some activity ideas. And there's also ideas if you have kids. So if there are things that you're wanting to do with your kids to kind of help them engage with Advent, you could encourage them to maybe take a big poster board this week and draw a broken heart on it and help them to think through different things that they see in their lives or in the lives of their friends or family or schoolmates where things are broken, where things aren't quite as they're meant to be. If you have younger kids, you could one night turn out all the lights and do a little scavenger hunt for them, give them flashlights and helping them recognize that things are dark, but we have light with the hope of Jesus. Things like that to help your kids kind of tangibly take advantage of this season. One thing that I always do in my house, and I'll show you my little Advent wreath here, is a lot of times people do a little wreath for Advent. Mine obviously isn't even a real wreath. I just have it on a little mirror here, and I have my 4 candles, and this is my Christ candle in the middle. And what you can do is each week you can light a new candle. So at night, I always have this first candle going this first week of Advent, and I've written here kind of our themes for this year during Advent. And then every week you just add a new candle. And what we are excited for and can't wait for is Christmas Eve when we light this Christ candle, recognizing that Jesus came to save us and to rescue us from sin and from darkness and the works of the devil. So you can do an Advent wreath this year. You could also, if you have a little nativity scene, one of the things that I like to do is my pieces are movable. And so what I do during Advent is I actually don't set up my whole nativity scene all at once. So right now I just have my little angels out on my nativity scene, and every week I add some more characters to the Advent scene. And then finally on Christmas Eve, I add Jesus in there, recognizing that we're moving toward that season of Christmas and to celebrating Jesus who came to rescue us. We have a great playlist on our website with different songs for each of the weeks of Advent. So if you're interested in having some music to kind of get you in the spirit of the different weeks of Advent, go to our website and you can listen to those there on YouTube or Spotify. So this first week of Advent, we have quite a few songs, and they're songs that help us kind of ache and long for Jesus to come. So oftentimes, if you're listening to Advent songs, they are in the minor key because there's kind of that unresolved feeling there. We're waiting for something. We're waiting for someone to come. If you're interested in just a few resources, the main one I'm going to recommend is actually this one. It's a little book called Touching Wonder. You can find it, you can find the ebook, and you can find some hard copies. It's by a guy named John Blaze, and I read this every Advent season. It's a really a short little book, easy to read, but it gives us some scripture, and then it kind of retells the story of the different characters in the Christmas story, and just gives us some really earthy moments that kind of remind us that these were real people, like Pastor Dan talked about on Sunday, real people going through real things as they move toward the Christmas season. You can also, for your kids, if you have the Storybook Bible, that Bible, you could start reading it yesterday or maybe catch up today. And there's actually 24 stories before you get to the Christmas story. So you can read that all through Advent and help your kids kind of move into that season as well. So as we enter into this season of Advent and we enter into this first week, really what we're doing this week is recognizing that there are broken hearts all around us, in maybe ourselves and in the lives of our friends and family and all over the world. And so this first week, we kind of sit in that. We don't rush out of it too quickly, but we recognize that we need someone who's going to come rescue us and bring us out of that darkness. And so as we read those scriptures, we're calling out to God and we're looking forward to the promises he has made to send someone to save, to bring hope into a broken world. And so that's what we're looking for in this first week of Advent. So if you have any other questions or want some more tips about Advent, make sure you go to crossroadschurch.ca and check out our Advent experience. And then you can also always shoot me an email, Denise S@crossroadschurch.ca. And I would love to chat with you more about the Advent season or give you more ideas for how to remember and celebrate during this season. I hope you're having a really good Monday, and I will talk to you again next week. Bye, Crossroads.